Okay. All right. Maureen, we are live. And today's topic is going to be a very interesting one because we often hear this a lot within the dating world, especially those uh, that are single that perhaps don't like to ask specific questions. And
Right?
then unfortunately find
Yeah.
this out later on. But yeah, so the big topic for today, finding out your date is married, but guess what? It's complicated, right? I mean, come on. It's I'm married, but I'm separated, but it's complicated. We could still go out together, though,
And that
right?
works with so many people. That's all it takes for them to say that. Okay.
Sure. Don't worry about it. All right. So for today's episode, again, since we're live, we're going to be conscious about the time. But some of the talking points, of course, are going to be spotting these red flags. So we have some examples for everybody. Obviously, also why people hide their relationship status. Why would somebody actually hide the fact that they're married or separated, or whatnot?
Hmm.
Then, of course, how to handle the actual situation, right? Handling it in a
Yeah.
proper etiquette manner. And then, obviously, again, why should somebody use a matchmaker such as yourself at MTN Matchmaking? Um, Obviously, aside from the screening process, which is the most obvious answer, but
Yeah. Yeah.
we got plenty more examples from there.
Mm.
So let's dig into this. Spotting the red flags
Yes.
early.
It is
So,
so common. We hear this from multiple people every single week. And I just want to start off by saying it is so easy to find as a woman to find married men. Now, I don't know if it's the same on the other side. I don't know if women who are married are doing the same thing. So I'm
well,
sorry, guys. I
let's just
can't.
say it may not be in as large numbers, but I think
Yes.
we could say it happens if on both
Oh,
sides.
yeah. I'm sure it does happen, but maybe not as much. But again, I don't know. I just know from our clients are mostly women. And what I always recommend is when you're with someone for the first time, ask. Never be afraid to ask the question, are you married? There are so many people that think it's rude or disrespectful to do so. And if someone is married, they play upon that. They'll almost make you feel guilty for asking that. Don't. You have to ask, but then hopefully you get the truth right up front. Yes, but it's complicated. And as Jason said, you know, that works for a lot of people. So that
Well, look,
I
I mean,
really,
let's also be somewhat realistic here, right? So, in the real world, again, for those that are not using a matchmaker, let's
yes.
just say that you're using an app or those online dating sites, which
Yeah.
again, we actually recommend for you to use, right? We want you to get
Yes.
out there,
For 6 months, try it.
send everything out, try your best. But look, eventually through the texting, phone calls, you end up going on to a date. Now,
Yes.
unbeknownst to you, again, the person can be married, can be in another relationship. We talked about that, two timers, three timers, again, a keyword that you termed.
Yes.
But
Three timers.
again, you may not ask that type of a question, or you may not be thinking about it because again, they're on a dating site, right?
Right.
Your average person doesn't do that. But you also have to think about it from the inverse, and that's the fact that again, they know they're married and they know they're going to be going on a date with you, which
Yes.
is again the weird psychological
Right.
aspect. But again, predatory. That's their mindset. But for those, again, you're going on a date, and you again, it's not wrong of you to then ask. Everything comes down to basic
Right.
transparency from the very start, being
Right.
as
And
truthful as possible.
communication.
That's what you want.
Yes. And when you meet someone in person, not on the apps, it's actually easier because I have ways to help you ladies on how to spot when someone, if you ask them, are you married? Hopefully they say yes. And then, you go from there. But what if they say no? Because most likely they're going to say no. So, how do you almost prevent that from happening? There are ways.
Well, we got
If
that. That's on our list. But first, we got to go through some of these red flags. We've got an actual itemized list, which will be kind of interesting. But
Mhm.
one thing to also put out there, because you had actually just mentioned this, let's just say again, you're on these apps and you're texting, right, through the actual
Yes.
platform or through your phone.
Right.
That is a much different scenario as opposed to physically meeting somebody, right?
Mhm.
So again, through the app, you're going to be texting questions, but
Yes.
then also when you then, if you do actually meet them, watch their facial expressions, watch how they
Mhm.
act, watch how they might wiggle, right? Because again, it's going to be a totally different person as
Yes.
opposed to being on the phone and you
Yep.
interacting there.
Mhm.
All right, so I've got some key points here. So these are other red flags. Maureen, obviously, again, give us your input on some of these, but let's go down the list. So first red flag
If
is
okay, if you meet them and everything goes very quickly, a relationship in a service as ours, slow and steady wins the race. And we have thousands of success stories to prove that. So if you're noticing, wow, we've been going out a month and he's talking about getting married, he's talking about what's going to happen in 30 years from now, that's very fast. That's a red flag.
that's the love
Or
bombing.
if it's over the top. Now, who doesn't want to receive compliments? Right? We all do. But if you are getting bam, 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 all these compliments when you're meeting someone, you really do, no matter how conceited you might be, or no matter how much you love compliments, because I have a brother who teases me when one of my kids would get in trouble, all he'd have to say at that time is, "You're pretty, mommy. Okay, I love you." That's all it would take. Okay, so if if it's just way over the top, you really need to know, okay, this is beyond what most people say because it should be common to what you're used to when you do go out. And that's the biggest thing. You'll see that all the time with married men. And that's why for married men, it really is so easy to meet them because they make it so hard not to fall for them when they're making you feel like you're $1,000,000,
Very true.
right?
All right, so I've got some other examples of red flags. So what you just touched upon was basically one of the terms called love bombing, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we actually had some videos on that prior. So definitely, again, if you're watching us on
Yep.
Facebook, LinkedIn, or YouTube, go check out the YouTube channel and search for that video. Again, we have many more videos coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But here are some other red flags to look for. So again, you're sitting down with the person. Everything seems to be perfectly fine, right? Again, you're
Right.
being trustworthy,
It's great.
transparent,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you start getting a vague or inconsistent answers about
Yes.
their relationship status. So
Yeah.
being vague or inconsistent, right? Always
Right.
changing. It's complicated.
And
I don't
then
know.
again, it's hard. It's hard to say to a man, but wait a minute. Hold on. You told me before this. Now you're saying this because now you're a nag. Now all of a sudden, wait, what are you questioning me? Yes, I am questioning
There's
you.
nothing wrong with that.
So it's there's nothing wrong with that. But if the person's married, they will be doing that and they'll be making you feel bad about it. Don't. This is you. This is your love life we're talking about. And we're trying to help you have the best life possible without having to invest in a private upscale matchmaking service. But if you try this on your own and you're running into married men all over, which is very common,
A lot of hurdles
that's
out there.
yes, that's when you come to us because it's huge what's going on.
All right.
Huge.
So another red flag that we have is overall limited availability.
Oh,
So
yeah.
again, often
Yes.
weird hours during the weekdays or weekends, right? So again, you might say, okay, hey, let's have dinner at 6 p.m. on Tuesday. So for that Tuesday, everything is fine. It works.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, all following Tuesdays are booked up. Hmm.
Mhm. Yeah.
So that's a red
Or
flag.
plans get changed. You're all ready to go someplace. Oh, God, I just got a message from my kid. Now, are you going to be a bitchy woman and say, "Oh, no, 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 no. You don't cancel on me for your kid." That, because you want the man to be a good father. So
Sure.
that's another thing. All a
They might
married guy.
try to use that against you.
Yeah,
So using their children
and
in a way.
because it'll work, because most divorced women especially are divorced, and most, not all, most of them are not really friends with their exes. It would be lovely if we all were, but some of us are not. So, you know,
Got it.
that
The X for a reason.
yes, and you want him to be a good father. I always say to clients, if a man talks about his kids a lot and you see the evidence of it, that's the man for you.
Yeah,
Because your ex, as you told me, he didn't do those things. You raised your kids by yourself. You don't want to play that game again.
yeah.
So
So and
that happens a lot. And
so
then go ahead.
I was going to say in connection to that, so children in that specific example, but then also just friends and family. Another red flag is just being hesitant or watching them be hesitant in regards to
Yeah.
actually introducing you to them, right?
Yep.
So you keep hearing about their children. It's like,
Huge.
oh wow, why don't we meet? Why don't we have a family
Yeah.
day? Why don't we go to the park? Whatever it might
Yep.
be. I don't know about now. Maybe later. Something could be up with that as well. I think your mic just came out. Let's see. How about now? Nope. Do you hear me, or am I still on?
Yeah. Could you hear me now?
Yeah. Now you're good.
Okay. So, a lot of times when oh, this happens a lot, and I just forgot the scenario. What were we just saying before I got
Talking
knocked
about
out?
just inviting or being around children, family, friends. Um, Again, usually
Yes.
they want to
Okay.
avoid
So
that kind of stuff.
yes, but if they know you're a nice person, and most of the people that come to us are family oriented. So if someone spots you're family oriented, then they'll actually do like a little baby step to trick you, to say, hey, why don't you come with me Friday night to see something with my kid? And you might say, well,
Well,
do you think
again,
it's
the
too
time frame.
soon?
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, you're right. You're right. But now look, that guy just asked you. So when your friends say, wait a minute, something's not right, you haven't been to his place yet. Oh, but he invited me. I was the one who said maybe it's too soon because you're a nice person. So these are just all traits, if you notice, with married men that I think, and we'll talk about this later too, but when it's almost like a game because people think the grass is always greener. But you know what I say? Is it is it really? So,
All right, we got another red flag here. Again, these
yep.
are all kind of connect to each other, but again, the whole point of this is they're red flags. So again, this is stuff that you got to be looking out for. But another big one is just the avoidance of actual public outings. So
Yes.
we could use that in connection to
Yes.
social media too. But let's just say again, it's fall, right? We got
Yep.
hay rides, we have pumpkin picking, we have all these
Yep.
other great ideas for first time dates and everything. Again, check out the MTN blog. But
Yeah.
let's just say you're going out on all these dates and all these adventures, but I mean, come on, there's no photos being taken. There's
Right.
no enjoying of these
We're
memories. You're not sharing them.
we're not
Or
going
then,
to the one in our town. Why
yeah, it's
are
kind
we
of
going
weird.
to one 3 towns over?
That's a red flag.
Right? Why are our dates in the next town? That's weird, right?
Yep.
But you don't notice that because that's so easy to cover up. Oh, I've never been to this place before. I've been to all the places in my town. I want to take you someplace special. Who's going to turn on that person and say, no, I want to be in your neck of the woods? Yeah, you can't do it. Or
Yep.
if you do, well, actually, it does help if you do it because what have you lost when that person realizes, oh, yeah, she's a smart cookie. She's not going to fall for this. Let me dump her. Let me ghost her because that's what's going to happen. Let me ghost her. Move on to someone who will
When you get
fall for
wiser,
that. Yeah.
again, that's part of the game, or as we like to call it, part of their game.
Yeah. And
Um,
what, you know what? If you're in your 20s, yes, you could play games. Just try not to hurt people. Try to meet as many people as possible. Keep them as friends. And you know what? Maybe in a year from now, one of those friends, if you're dating multiple people, but again, just don't say you're exclusive. Okay. So
Well, it goes back to
that,
being transparent from the start.
yes, and having communication and being truthful. And I commend when someone says to me, you know, yeah, it's great. I'd love to be your friend. Just so you know, I have a girlfriend. Love that. Be truthful. That is going to make you a superstar to any single woman because it's okay if someone has a girlfriend. Okay. I'm not saying cheat on that girlfriend, but I'm saying you're not engaged, you're honest, you're asking just for friendship, and who knows? Because if it's a second time around, the divorce rate's even higher the second time around with divorce. So before you get married for the second time, you need to really make sure this is the one.
Well, we want to make sure it's the one every time. All right. So
Exactly. But
one of the last red flags that we have, and again, I guess we could also have a blog post about this. We'll have a transcript out, but we'll include
ooh,
a little bit
good.
more. So
Yes.
again, this is a
Love this.
reminder to go onto the website, mtnmatchmaking.com, check out the blog, and also join the newsletter. So again, this is a great way to be reminded about our live shows, dating tips, and so forth. But this is actually one of the so this is the last red flag that we have, but
Right.
an important one. Just again, going back to asking questions, right? There's nothing
Right.
wrong about asking questions, but
Nothing
if the
wrong with
other
it.
party is constantly getting defensive or
Mm-hmm.
starting to be again
Because they
off-putting,
will.
or yeah, that again is a huge red flag. And
Yep.
there's again, it depends on I guess the types of questions. We're not talking about like what's your favorite color, what's your favorite song, but again, more towards the
Right.
relationship um, aspect of things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
obviously, knowing where do you live, what town are you in,
Yeah.
do you have kids, all that kind of
And
stuff.
don't be overly nice. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how
Oh,
that happened.
you're still on.
But don't be overly nice that when you get an invitation, hey, why don't you come over and see my place? Don't be overly nice and say, oh, no, that's okay. You said you don't mind coming to my place. Because as women, we kind of love our places where we live, most of us.
Yeah, it's
And
like
we
your
feel
home nest.
yeah, it's our nest. Yeah. And we're proud of it. We love to decorate. We want to make it homey. And we feel comfortable here. We don't feel comfortable going to a bachelor pad. We certainly don't feel comfortable to going to someone's house if they know, okay, you're divorced, but this is where you lived with your wife. We're not going to feel comfortable with that. But just remember, if you were invited and you're too nice and you say, no, come here, you got to be aware. You just can't be too nice that you're being ignorant
Well, or being
in
taken
a nice
advantage
way.
of. Yeah.
Yes, because you will. It is very easy when you're a nice person to be taken advantage of. And shame on anyone in this day and age that'll do that.
Okay. This next. So again, in regards to all this, the next topic or next segment, which is actually very interesting, I guess, from a psychological standpoint.
My
But why are
favorites.
people actually hiding their relationship status? Right. Like, what's the goal here? Aside again from the predatory aspect, but what's the actual? Again, there's many reasons, but what are
Yeah.
some of the primary reasons?
Well, we hear it all the time from our clients that they'll give excuses almost to make it justifiable that, you know, maybe my wife, she hasn't had sex with me in 15 years. You're going to feel bad for that guy, right? How do you know that's true? You
Yeah.
don't
Don't.
know anything is true. And believe me, if that ever happens to you, and when you find out, you're going to be so hurt. You can't put a price on the amount that that has cost your self esteem and your heart. So, but again, people, they miss the challenge of dating. Like I said before, they think the grass is greener. But again, is it? Because your marriage, maybe it just needs marriage counseling.
Sure.
So before you just say, let's separate or let's go right for a divorce, really make sure, especially when there are kids around. Kids, you try everything first, but the ultimate goal is to have good intentions and to always take the high road so that you can look in your kids' eyes one day when you're with someone else. Because if you can't, if you're showing your kids, daddy's cheating on your mom,
Yeah.
but what kind of effect is that going to have on your kids? And don't think your kids don't know it because they
Yeah.
will
They see
know it.
everything. Yeah.
They do. And something I learned during my divorce 20 something years ago is whatever you think you're hiding from them because you're trying to keep them safe, they think it's going to be a lot worse than it actually is. As bad as you think it is that you're keeping them from, in their minds, they think it's worse. So don't ever do anything that's going to hurt your kids any more than an actual physical divorce and an emotional divorce situation.
Very true. So one of the other, I got two more examples, but one big part is the overall fear of losing the actual partner, or then again a sense of rejection, right? So they're
Mhm.
holding on to something, and they're
Mhm.
basically going out on these dates
Yeah.
to then try to just have a replacement to then
Yeah.
move on, right? So that's another weird part. It's like a piggyback system.
That is a certain type of man that there are some men I've learned over the years, and there's psychology behind this as well, that they cannot be alone. Whereas most women, especially if this is the second time around, and especially if they raise their kids, they're used to doing everything. And when you get in that habit, you're last no matter what. Okay. So you're used to doing a million things at once. And then there'll come a time, though, that you realize, okay, now it's my time. But yeah, I just heard this on the news the other day, too. So it's a lot of thought, and a lot of people are talking about this right now. I
You
just thought it was interesting.
So the last ones that I have is also overall just the emotional attachment, right? There's a lot of people out there. I guess you could even say like the analogy of like hoarders always wanted to keep things, right? Collect things. The same
Yeah.
thing can apply in
Yes.
relationship. They
Yes.
may not just want, they don't want to let go. They're afraid to let go.
Yeah.
So just being emotionally attached.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and again,
And
they could be unhappy, but they'll still be in that relationship. They won't want to end it.
because it's better than being alone. Whereas again, women, we tend to be more independent. And if you, especially if you're hearing from your guy, I love how independent you are. Guess what? That's a red flag because he's telling you
Mm,
he's not. And if you're with someone and he's not independent, then that's what we're talking about. A man that just can't be alone. And what they tend to do is they'll take anyone, really. And they'll say things almost because it makes the guilt could be
mm,
overwhelming psychologically. But you'll notice every once in a while they'll say things to relieve themselves of the guilt, like, "Oh, I don't deserve you. You're way too good for me." Okay, so that's that person's way of not being such a bad person. And again, if you notice that person just grab that first person maybe, or you never ever ever want to be a rebound person, because if it's not going to be a situation of love at first sight, which is very rare, okay,
sure.
in the real life world, we're not in the movies, okay, the real life is very very rare. So just be safe out there and be smart. But the good news is there's a way to avoid all of that, having me screening these people,
Very
because
true.
a man who is going through all of that will never make the physical move to come in to be interviewed. They'll never make the financial move because uh, uh, I'm not going to
Well,
give, just
his wife might
hypothetically,
see
3 to
the credit
7.
cards. His wife might
Yeah,
see the credit card statements too.
right. This is too much. I mean, hey, I can get away with a Match.com or a free thing. Oh, my friend set that up. That means nothing. But, you
Well, the
know,
dating, the matchmaking part, we'll get into that. But I wanted to let's just connect to one last part, which is the section on how to handle the situation if you find out. So obviously, again, if I guess
mm,
if you're in a date, you're and we're talking about in person, right? And the person basically says it's complicated, but yeah, I'm married. What do you do? I mean, it's like, do you actually stay there? Do you continue the relationship? Ultimately, from my point of view, again, it just comes down to your emotional well-being, right? So obviously,
and your
it's going to be a
confidence
shock
in
factor.
yourself.
Yeah. Eventually, it's going to hit you. You're going to be like, okay, wow. Um, Again, it comes down to you. Do you want to stay there, or do you want to continue?
Right. Or do you want to find someone that loves you for who you are? That's the confidence. With dating coaching, that's probably the biggest part that I do as a dating coach. And I put all my dating coaching in writing. So I give reports so that my clients will have more confidence knowing that you're getting crumbs from that person you met on the outside world. It's time to leave that world. It's time to have someone doing the screening process because you're a good person. You deserve love. We all deserve love. And if you don't have enough confidence in yourself, please start watching our videos. And you could write in and ask me to specifically talk about a certain problem that you're having with confidence, and I could help you with that. And I also write a weekly column in Long Island for the Long Island Press, and that's based upon what our readers ask me for
Feedback
each month.
questions.
Yeah.
So
So,
for that, actually head to the website again, mtnmatchmaking.com/contact, or go to the website contact. You can actually fill in all the fields. Yeah, it's a great way just to ask questions, get some feedback responses by Maureen. So I've seen
mhm,
those um, plenty of times. Aside from again from clients, that
yeah,
happens every day. So it's a whole different part.
yep. But
But
it doesn't
one,
happen here. That's the greatest blessing in the world. This is priceless in the sense that you're not going to lose your self confidence. You're not going to feel horrible. You're not going to have a broken heart based upon something that you had no control over. Now, look, if we're not compatible with each other, you're both going to have broken hearts, and that happens.
mm,
Believe me, that's not as bad. It's a lot worse when you figure out later, "Hmm, this is something that I could have had control over, but for whatever reason, I didn't." So we're
so
helping you.
the big question here, though, again, in connection to basically again handling the situation, right?
Yep.
Let's just say that again, respectfully, whichever party says that they're still married,
Mhm.
and you want to still continue that relationship, right? Because again, they
Mhm.
might actually be filing for the legal
Right.
separation, and they might be
Right.
in that
And
actual
it could be a
process.
legitimate thing, and you
Exactly.
can be friends with that person. So we're not saying 100% of the time this is bad. I mean, I met a wonderful guy who, it really is a good person, I believe. And, you know, when the truth comes out, okay. So that's what friends are for. There are some people that get along better with the opposite sex as friends. But again, you can't cross that line.
Also, I was going
That
to say
person's married.
you got to have some boundaries set, but
Yes.
then it goes back to
Yes.
the original intro where we said again, being trusting,
Mhm.
fully transparent with everything, And again, even with whatever follow-up questions you're asking, make sure again that you're asking the right questions as to
Mhm.
what's the time frame. Is she
Yeah.
aware of this? Is he aware of that?
Right.
Are
Right.
kids aware of it? What are these different boundaries? Because from there on out, at least you have an answer, but now you
Mhm.
know, okay, what do I then do from there? Right. So those are the next steps.
I think there's something major that we might have left out for a quick second. When you meet someone for the first time, one of the best things to do is to say, "Are you on social media?" Now, almost everyone nowadays is on social media. Okay. Oh, let me see who you are. Let me look it up. If that person hesitates, huge, huge red flag because married people do not want to be on social media. You'll find that
Well,
with every single situation,
or
or
you'll
they
see
won't
them,
be giving, "Oh, yeah, look me up. I'm here."
or you
Okay.
might find out that they're not using their first name. They could be using their
Yeah,
middle name.
yeah. Or,
Lots of
or,
weird stuff happening out there. Yeah,
yeah, or a photo from 20 years ago,
very true.
So that's a great thing to do, ladies. Ask that night if you're seeing those red flags. I'm really busy, so I don't get a chance to talk a lot on the phone. What's your social media? What's your name on Facebook? Don't ask,
That's a good way
say,
to
what
validate.
is it? And if that person hesitates, why are they hesitating? Because I have no reason to hesitate to give that information out.
True.
Right? If someone has a reason and hesitates, you got to find out what that reason is.
Yeah.
Because you could always block someone. It's not going to be, "Oh, I don't like to do that in the beginning until I know someone for 3 months." Yeah, no, no, that doesn't sound right to me.
All right. So closing this, the last
Hmm.
part, how we
Yep.
basically said how a matchmaker helps avoid these scenarios. One, again, I know that we're just having a general conversation here, but I mean, think about it. One, Maureen, again, you don't have married people coming here necessarily looking for
Nope.
your services, but through
Nope.
your screening process, your interview questions and whatnot, they just wouldn't get through. I mean, we would eventually also find out if they did, but
Yes,
I mean,
and they
it's a
wouldn't
stupid game.
bother.
Yeah.
There's no reason for them to bother with this when there's so many other easy ways without any screening process, without costing any money. They can go into a Starbucks and buy someone coffee. Done. They're
Yeah.
not going to make this investment. So,
Well,
that's the
we just
biggest
had a
benefit.
you just had a client that signed up. He basically told us again, we're not going to mention the apps, but he's on a very popular dating app where I think he
Yeah.
said on average it's like $30 or $50
Yeah.
for let's just say a special notification or a
Yeah.
connection, right?
Right,
So
because
again,
they'll say it's
50,
free, but if you wanna meet that person, you have to pay for it.
but think about it, 50 bucks, whatever, but that times 10, now you're at 500, but you're also dealing with all the other lies, fake accounts, fake
Yes.
images, fake stories. And again, people that are possibly in other different
Mhm.
forms of relationships. So
Do you
it's
remember
always
I've said this many times that about 15 years ago, there was an article in the Wall Street Journal at that time when the internet kinda really started to emerge for the first time and got big. Wall Street Journal did a study, and 37% of men admitted to being married. Admitted it. So, I don't know about you, ladies, but I'm thinking right away, God, if 37% are admitting it, I wonder how many aren't admitting it. A lot more. So, we don't have to solicit business. We're just very blessed to be in an industry where we get to help people find love and true love based upon someone that's safe, has the same screening process prerequisites as you do and all of our clients do, because we have about 3,000 clients on Long Island. And plus, not only that, you're going to know that you're compatible already with that person. So you just have to go out a few times and see, do I have enough chemistry with that person? Because chemistry will always be great with the type of scenarios that we're talking about. Okay. And if it's not, then that's even worse. That's even a worse issue. So just saying.
So I think another highlight to this, by the way, is also again where when we ask. So this might sound weird, but again, this is from a professional standpoint, right? And I try to emphasize this as many times as possible during, I guess, like an initial call. But we're not here again acting as your friend. We're not here as a
Hmm.
colleague. We're not here as a family member. You are calling a professional matchmaker.
Hmm.
So we're always here to advise you the best way possible, whether or not it's communication issues, travel issues, whatever it is. But one thing that does come up is again us just asking a simple question of what is your relationship status. So in
Hmm.
that event, we do oftentimes get prospective clients that are going through divorce,
Yep.
right? Or then widowed, widowers.
Good point. Yep.
But for those that are divorced, or again legally separated, that's fine. But sometimes again we'll get people that are going through the divorce process, and we
Yes.
will actually ask them, are you emotionally stable, financially
Hmm.
stable? Are you sure that you are actually ready
Right.
for this, for us to
Hmm.
actually again professionally help you? And there have been times when clients were like, well, this was maybe 2 months ago, and we're like, well, you're also not really over him or her yet.
Right.
You might need some more time.
Right.
So
And why would you pay me money if you would go back with that person? And I've heard people say, you know what, you're right, I won't. All right, well, thanks for wasting 10 minutes of my time that I'll never get back in my
pretty
life.
quick. Yeah.
But also, too, if someone is legally separated here in our program, you cannot be living together. Okay. So we do a felony background check. We use a real company that is a national company. So, national, like if someone has a felony, say in California, the first thing they do is move to New York to kind of blend in. So we check in every single state. So,
Well, just going back to the emotional aspect, that it obviously everybody's case is different, but
mhm,
again, from a professional standpoint, we are here to listen, to kind of get a good understanding as to everybody's story, right? Everybody has their own personal story,
mhm,
history, but we really do, again, based on your personality test as well, we get to know who each client is.
yep,
So we're not just always taking every client. Sometimes you
yep,
push some of them back. You say, contact us back again in a month,
yep,
2 months, whatever it might be. We want to make sure that everybody is right. And again, equal among all
yeah,
playing fields with all the rest of the clients that we have.
yeah. And I disqualify at least 10 people every single week that, Jason disqualifies a lot more because he knows, don't give me someone that is not going to pass our screening process and to be ready. And even with that, so he disqualifies a lot of people, but even in those 10 people, they were good enough. They tend to be women too. They're good enough to, you know, maybe think they want to be in this program. But the fact that we're not free, other matchmaking services take on database clients. We are one of the few, if not the only, that we never take on database people for free. And that's huge because if someone is free, if you don't have a financial stake into it, you never know. What is that saying that you always say about
Which part?
if you don't pay for something, you don't have skin in the game?
Sure.
It's true. So all of our clients have skin in the game, and they're not going to waste their time. So I I
The other
can tell you.
question, I guess, with I guess playing on the skin in the game,
Mm,
a big question that does come up is again based on the different membership levels, right? So there's
uh-huh.
different tiers.
Yeah,
Again, you
yes.
could go onto the website, MTN Matchmaking, go to services, you can see that there's different memberships. But the memberships itself does not dictate the type of service that you then get. Everybody is on the same playing field. All that changes are some of the factors like the actual time period, right? So whether or not it's
and
6
what you
months,
need.
12
It
months,
might not be what
dating
you
coaches.
want,
Yeah.
it's what you need, because I'm certainly not gonna take on someone that I know in 3 months, this isn't this is not happening in 3 months. Okay, this is not happening without you having dating coaching, and that's not a bad thing. Dating
Well,
coaching is just fixing all the miscommunication that is out there between men and women, because there is a lot of it. But here we fix it.
yeah. All I was saying is that doesn't matter which membership you're on. Everybody again is on the same playing field.
Mhm.
That's the most important part. We're not here to treat somebody different just because they're on a different level. Everybody's on the same.
Mhm. Yeah.
All right. So
So
we're
I can
about
tell you that all of our success stories, and I have over 1,000 marriages. They have all said to me, "This is invaluable." So before you call MTN Matchmaking, make sure your thought process isn't going to be, "How much is this going to cost?" Because you're going to hear back, "How much is it going to cost you not to do it?" And I don't need your money. If I did, I'd be 20,000 to 100,000 like my colleagues that I love and I work with now and I help, because we're national now for the past year. So, it's not about the money with us. That's why we have different programs. And we do so much more in the screening process by not taking on everyone and making sure everyone is ready and that they'll be compatible. So I'm doing this for a reason of why I started 20 years ago. Doesn't matter, but you all get to benefit if you're all single, no felony record, positive, emotionally stable, financially stable, and looking for a committed relationship or marriage. If you're those things, you will find this invaluable. Call us.
yeah. All right. So quick recap. I know the very first question and the title of this video is finding out your date is married, but it's complicated. In short, you will not find that here at MTN Matchmaking.
Nope,
That's the best
nope.
way to end it. Yeah.
Complicated? Okay, bye.
Yeah.
Call us
We don't
when it's
we don't
done.
deal with that. All right, so let's end it here. We're about 40 minutes
Yep.
over. Again, we
Yikes.
had
Ah,
mentioned as many red flags as we could, but
yes.
we'll transcribe this. We'll put everything into a nice blog post. This is also a friendly reminder to hit that like button and subscribe. And in this description, you'll see all the links to all of the other social media platforms. So like us on Facebook, Twitter,
Mhm.
TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. What am I missing? We're basically on all of them. But the biggest one is to also make sure you join our newsletter for email alerts as well. So you'll get that
Do you
and the
think we
website.
should give a contest out for people that are not presently on it? But if someone is single and you're all those things that I mentioned, and you sign up for the newsletter and all of our social media, which would be
Yeah, we could have a
YouTube.
contest.
Yep. So you do YouTube, Instagram, the 3 Facebooks. No, no, no. The MTN Matchmaking Facebook, and if you're in Myrtle Beach or National, the Myrtle Beach MTN Matchmaking, and
Applicable
Twitter.
options.
And do they have to do LinkedIn now? You don't have to do LinkedIn, right? Only if you
I'm
want a
actually
job.
typing it out.
So if you do all of those things, you will win a
Well, we're gonna make
$20
the
gift
contest. You got to
certificate
put the
for
directions and everything up.
Starbucks. Because, someone won a month ago on something, and I mailed that out. We switched it. They didn't want Starbucks, so they got an Amazon. But typically, we give a $20 gift certificate to Starbucks. How about we do that?
Okay, we'll set something up.
Yeah, and you have to prove it. You got to show us you've done all those things. So you're now part of our family here at MTN Matchmaking, where if you might not be ready to sign up, it's okay, because we're here to help you whether you are or you're not. And one day when you are, we'll do all the work for you.
Sounds good. We'll put everything together. That's just a gentle reminder to again visit the website, subscribe to the newsletter so that once this contest comes out, you'll get that alert and you'll know about it.
Can we ask people if they like my hair better straight or curly, or is that just not professional?
Can ask. Let's see. You want to wait another 5 minutes and I'll exit.
Um, okay,
I'll keep you
so
on.
if peeps, if you can comment below on if you like my hair better straight or curly, I would really, really appreciate that. Okay.
Okay. Leave the comment
Thanks,
below. Let's see
everybody.
what they say.
Okay, good.
All right. Adios. Bye.
Okay, bye.